What is good? We're back. Sort of a used to be the first quarter of the fantasy season, but now we're like we need like another half. We need another half a game to get there.
Need a quarter of a game.
So interesting start to the season so far. We're back on the Monday live stream recap. We got a little Monday night game going on. We got a Rams fan versus a Niners fan in here. So maybe a few times where we're glancing up at the screen a little more than usual.
Well, the camera's right below the screen, so
but
looks like we're looking at
it. Was an interesting week 4. Fantasy teams are the ones I want to do really well and are pretty good, have really struggled each week to just get the right lineup in there. And the ones that I've been trying to really rebuild, just keep winning games.
Trade that depth.
Winning games.
Trade that depth.
You got to wait just a minute.
So
it's getting there.
It's just mostly saying that not because I feel like it has been a little bit of a weird start, but this usually seems like it usually is a little bit of a weird start. You got things get settled out, and they're starting to settle down a little bit.
Teams that think they're competing aren't really competing.
Right.
Teams that think that aren't competing are really competing now because some surprises, injuries.
Right. Had some injuries this week. Is one of the bigger injury weeks so far. The waiver wire, I feel like, is finally going to start maybe coming into play in your redraft leagues a little bit more. Not that it hasn't, but I mean, I feel like we haven't had any bigger injuries to really jumpstart that thing.
Yeah.
So should be interesting. So we're going to start with Bills at Ravens. As we go through this, we got a couple of games that we want to get to, and then we'll turn to some comments and see which other games you might want us to take it to, and go Niners. So.
Turn your mic on. You are a professional delusional trainer. Tanner. Sorry, man. Not trainer. Hits us up with a good one right off the rip because we're about to dive into it. He says, should I be trying to trade high on JK Dobbins?
Well,
how high are you trading?
Yeah, it's all. It's all
I love
relative.
these. Yeah.
We're about to get to that in just a second. We got Bills over the Ravens, 23-20. Questionable ending in that game. Marcus Peters fired up about go Debo. Marcus Peters fired up about maybe not taking the points or something along those lines, when Harbaugh should be more fired up about the times that Marcus Peters just completely blows the fucking coverage. So I don't know why he's getting in anybody's face. But you take the points there, or do you go for it if you're the Ravens down there? I think normally I'm a kind of take the points guy, but in this case, the Ravens hadn't scored at all that half. They'd barely been able to stop the Bills.
Well, apparently Harbaugh came out and said they were worried that Allen was just gonna be able to drive down the field.
Well, they hadn't stopped them all. They hadn't stopped them but one drive that entire second half.
So you're just gonna, if you don't get it, then you're just gonna let them kick a field goal to win the game?
Well,
that seems a bit asinine.
Maybe you're saying, hey, we got Lamar Jackson. We're on the 2 here. You're not expecting Lamar Jackson to throw a pick right there. And instead of the game feels a whole lot different if you're starting on the 2 rather than the 20. He threw a pick in that situation. Yeah. And now you're at the 20.
Well, they got a little cute. They got a little cute there.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't the best throw by Lamar either. That whole series wasn't the best by Lamar down there.
Didn't have a great second half.
But he played,
Don't even watch the TV.
He's been lights out. I saw it. Debo,
is there an L in Saw?
Touchdown. Wasn't the best second half from Lamar Jackson. Wasn't really the best game. The Ravens kind of got out early.
Yeah.
A lot of kind of half fields to work with to start the game there, to really work to their benefit. And then JK Dobbins got a couple of early scores. It was nice to see the usage be out there for J.K. Dobbins. A little better this week. Seems like you can safely plant him back in your lineup here. And then Justice Hill got a little banged up in this game as well. So that works out well for you. Also, Rashad Bateman, something to monitor, got banged up in this one.
Missed the whole fourth quarter.
40% snap rate and 47% route participation for Rashad, but again, did miss some time there. And then Devin DuVernay just coming in, basically playing around the same that he normally would play with or without Bateman. That end zone throw was to him, and the touchdown that he scored, right? He had one in this game, right?
Yes.
It was like a tip that he came up with, and
we had
snagged
that
it.
crazy catch on that one where Lamar's got out of that sack and then tried to chuck it up to Andrews, and then it was tipped, and he caught it.
Right. So, Duvernay's still doing his thing, but, do I necessarily want to get Duvernay in the lineup? No. That's bye week injury fill-ins.
If Bateman's out, then I'm thinking about it more.
If Bateman's out, like I think you saw, let's go to the snaps here. I think you saw DeMarcus Robinson snaps go up a little more than
for sure, yeah.
Maybe you would have saw Duvernay's, but yeah, I would.
That wasn't a pick. Just stop.
I'd probably wait, see how serious the Bateman injury is, and then if you really needed Duvernay, that's the only way I'm trying to. If Bateman misses a couple of games and Duvernay comes in and dominates, which Bateman hasn't even really been dominating necessarily with.
He's been
playing, but not necessarily, dominating with touches per se. So no, I mean Duvernay is going to be a injury or bye week kind of fill-in guy for me if I need to, and I could. There's in redraft I could probably find a 1 week flyer if I really needed to, but it's it's still been pretty good for Duvernay. It's just
I think I'd have to be pretty beat up.
It seems like it's been a little more lucky. I think he's really good. It's just the way this offense is. It's really hard to, what I mean?
For sure.
I do really like the player. I was hoping that he was out of that contract after this year and could see him maybe go somewhere else, because this does seem like he has been definitely growing as a player, but it's, the Ravens are just hard to evaluate skill positions besides the running back and the tight end, apparently. But that takes us to JK Dobbins. 50% snap percentage, 35 snaps, 37% route participation. But he had 22.3 PPR points, 13 attempts, 41 yards, 1 touchdown on the ground, 4 in the reception category, and then a little kind of shovel TD reception for J.K. Dobbins there. Now, does J.K. Dobbins look back to that spark freak status that he was
not
at
quite.
One point?
No,
probably not. But
not at less than 4 yards a clip on the ground.
But really, if we can just see him being the guy in this offense and just how bad the other running backs have been, Justice Hill's actually been pretty decent, but what he can give this offense and the scoring opportunities that he can get, and when the running game it can be more than just Lamar Jackson and be explosive, it's really just a whole nother side to the Ravens that I feel like they're desperately kind of missing, and J.K. Dobbins can give him that snap. And this week I probably wouldn't have played him. If you played him, good for you. I was waiting another week, and this coming week I'm fine with putting him in the lineup. But it comes back to the guy's been banged up, coming back from an injury, a pretty serious one, gets back on the field, scores some touchdowns, gets the usage pretty much. Is this a buy, sell, hold for you for J.K. Dobbins?
Well, first off, you love to see him ramping up, right? Went from 35 snaps, or went from 26 snaps to 35 snaps, right? From a 44% snap share to a 50%, ramping up a little bit. Same exact route participation at 37% both those weeks, but he's caught 6 of 6 targets. I don't know that he was on pace to catch that many last year, or the year before. You love to see.
If you can get any passing game work.
Right, and he's scoring touchdowns, too. He had a touchdown this week on that reception, like you mentioned. So just everything's ramping up. The receiving, you didn't know if Lamar was going to throw it to a running back, and he's doing it to JK, averaging 3 catches a game. That's money in the bank. So I trending up. I think he's definitely a hold, and maybe even a buy.
I think him as a hold. I think he's just a hold for me right now. I'm a little interested to see what he looks like when Gus comes back too. I think that's something we're missing. Just Edwards coming back could make that backfield interesting.
No sells for anyone?
Certainly could. I mean, I think it's all relative. I mean, it just depends on where you are, what your team build is. We have a roster that's one of our cheaper rosters, but it's the UDPL league with a bunch of other quote unquote experts, and we've been we inherited a team and we tried to buy and go all in, and it didn't work out. The big expensive guys that we bought all were Le'Veon Bell and guys like that didn't really work out for us. So we've been in sort of a 2-year little rebuild here. And JK Dobbins was somebody we traded Chubb for a first and JK Dobbins last year. So, if I could get a first for JK Dobbins somehow this season on a rebuilding team, maybe I would
probably
take that.
Entertain that.
What do you think?
Sorry, say the question again.
I said if you could get a first for JK Dobbins on let's just call it a rebuilding team a little bit, would that be
just a straight up 23 first?
Mm-hmm. Like if we could get that right now in the UDPL, would you take it? Because I probably would.
I think I would too. I don't think you're getting that though.
I don't think you are, at least right now.
Seriously? Good God almighty, this 23 class. Because we're not going to get a high one.
It doesn't matter about the class. It's basically just getting the first for the running back who...
He's only 23 years old on an extremely potent offense.
But I'm just worried about what is he going to look like long-term for that offense? Like, is it...
Better than he is right now, which is pretty damn good. Right? I mean, he's ramping up. He just had 22 fantasy points.
I mean, he scored 2 touchdowns.
He scored 2 touchdowns and had.
He's not good because he's scoring too many touchdowns.
That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm just saying like he scored.
He's definitely
2 short yardage touchdowns from the goal line. That's all I'm saying. Like it's not. I wouldn't expect J.K. Dobbins.
That he's getting goal line carries
for sure
from Lamar Jackson.
And if I like J.K. Dobbins just fine. I gave you a scenario where I'm saying if I'm a rebuilding team.
Man, I want the J.K. Dobbins.
I'd probably trade in for that first because it's probably not going to be my only first. My objective is to get multiple firsts and then be able to buy somebody who I know is good and a little more safe maybe than J.K. Dobbins, or be able to dominate the draft.
Or when it comes draft day, you can move that draft capital, which is so sought after for proven assets.
That's what I was saying. I can either buy a more proven asset with the picks, or that I feel a little bit better about, and I would, in most other cases, if it wasn't just like a straight up rebuilding team, I'd probably hold.
I think he's a probable hold because I don't think you're getting a first anywhere right now.
I don't think you are, and I'd like to get a first plus a prospect would be the ideal selling position for what J.K. Dobbins is, and really could get back to. Like, I'm not disagreeing with you. Like, I like the offense that could be potentially there. They don't throw it to the running back a whole lot. So if this keeps up, then that would be awesome. But, Gus isn't around right now, and they haven't necessarily said, hey, we're going to give this backfield to one guy, which doesn't make you feel you haven't seen that yet, which doesn't make you feel necessarily wonderful. And he's coming off of a fairly serious knee injury, which, next week, you see it all. It could be a groin or a hammy from coming off of an injury like that after he's been ramped up for a couple weeks. So
even a late first on a good selling to like a contender, the guy's got a good team, good record, probably going to make the playoffs.
Like I said, if I'm rebuilding, I'm trying to stockpile first. So it's, that's going to be I'm trying to get 3 or 4 of them. So now I have an option of things to do, throughout the season, or when I get to the draft. It gives me good insurance on the picks because those guys can't get hurt. Whereas if I go 2 more weeks with J.K. Dobbins on the roster and something happens to him, now I'm in the same position I was for the last year and a half holding on to J.K. Dobbins.
Yeah, now your team sucks, which is good if you're rebuilding.
And one of the assets I could have got to move is, so that's really, it's not an indictment on J.K. Dobbins. It's more just what I'm trying to do if I'm rebuilding. And he might not be the core guy that I'm keeping to rebuild around my running back room.
Yeah.
So shout out to the Dynasty War Zone. I assume that's Memphis. What up, dude? He says, why not move JK for a nice wide receiver like Olave? I don't think you're getting Olave if you don't think you can get a first next year, then you probably can't get Olave for Dobbins right now. Although maybe he is in the UDPL, so maybe he has Olave.
He has Olave and he wants Dobbins. I mean,
I don't hate it.
I don't hate that at all.
Air yards,
He's crushing air yards. If it doesn't have to, you certainly don't have to trade running back for running back. If you're rebuilding, it's the safer move is certainly to trade for a wide receiver like Olave or, a younger fella, maybe.
If you could get like a Kenneth Walker and a little something on top of that, I think that's something that would be interesting in a rebuild.
Now we're talking.
I think it's possible. I think that's 100%
Well, because
possible.
you could probably get Kenneth Walker for a 23 first right now. We'll get there.
Somebody would probably sell him for that. Yeah.
Yeah.
They can't wait.
But no, I agree with you. I don't hate that at all. So, is there like I said though, in most cases, I'm probably just holding on to JK Dobbins to see how this goes, unless I'm in a.
It'd have to be a very niche situation.
Right. Agreed.
A good point, Zach. He said there's not as many likes as there are people watching. Make sure you hit that like, subscribe, noti button. Appreciate you, Zach. What up, dude?
All right.
Let's see. We got a
let's move it.
Lamar Jackson question real
Okay.
quick. Let's see. Oh no, already said that one. Tyler said you're not getting Olave. Garrett said 10-team Superflex PPR.
Who's Tyler?
Tyler Vandergriff. I've seen him in here before.
Oh,
I don't know.
I can't see the chat, so I didn't know who it was. Yeah, he's been for sure. What up?
Any relation to former Georgia star recruit quarterback Brock Vandagriff?
I mean, there can't
Strong
be that
last
many
name.
Grant
Vandergriff.
It's a strong name to yell at. Okay, Garrett's got a 10-team Superflex PPR start 9. He's got Lamar and Aaron Rodgers right now. He has 2 23 firsts and 3 24 firsts. Is it worth it to go after another elite QB? I've got a competing roster with pretty solid depth. I mean,
I would say
anytime you can get an elite QB, you should probably do that, right?
Yeah, but then you got to move one of those other ones because I don't know if I'm going to hang on to 3.
Is Aaron Rodgers an elite QB? He's like 1 year away from being done. Like, I don't even consider that. Like, I don't feel great about having Aaron Rodgers as my second quarterback.
Rodgers plus one of those first to get something a lot better.
So, yes, you're interested in trying to get another QB.
I'm not moving just the picks. I'm moving Rodgers and the picks and something on top of it.
I don't hate it.
All right. Appreciate you, Garrett. A little love for the crew. All right, let's move along. We've spent a long time on the
shout out to
Ravens,
old Dynasty Warzone over there. Check their live stream out. I think they're still doing that. He's doing a good job winning over there.
He's too busy winning the UDPL to take on bums anyway. Well, JK Dobbins is a bum now. Oh, he's really trying to get JK Dobbins.
Saquon Barkley's for sale. You can come get him.
Oh, yeah.
Win the league. Take it down.
Oh, that's a good point. Gonna need more than a fucking 23 first, though.
See. All right. Let's move over. We want to hit a little Buffalo Bills side. Maybe, Gabe Davis, probably the guy right now who is, was a lot of
fanfare.
I feel like there was a lot of there was a big pro and con for and against Gabe Davis contingent before the season started.
My son Gabriel walks in.
Week 1. It was wheels up, and then he has been the ankle injury does seem like he just doesn't seem to be moving around out there super great. And maybe they've been kind of playing him as a little bit more of a decoy. But is there any panic in your Gabe Davis stock right now?
Let the boy watch. No, I'm not panicking. Gabe Davis, he's fucking hurt. When he's not, he's great. And he's a buy time.
And he's playing. Yeah, exactly. It's buy time. He's
and you just lost Crowder to an ankle
and
McKenzie to a concussion.
Yeah. He played every snap and ran every route possible.
Right. And I think he played a good bit last week too with the ankle.
He did.
So hopefully, and I guess last week in practice he re-aggravated the ankle a little bit. So probably just not playing out there at 100%. And you'd like to say that, hey, maybe we could do a little bit more at not 100%.
I think he needs to be on your bench right now until you see it happen.
If he is pretty hobbled,
but I'm not trying to bail, and I will be down to acquire.
Yeah,
some more.
What are you buying Gabe Davis for?
Send a 2 out.
Yeah, I'd send a 2 out.
Well, is that a burp or you didn't
Both.
like the 2?
If you can get a 2, if I could trade Gabe Davis, or if I could trade a 2 and get Gabe Davis. Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's.
I never know which side of the fucking trade you're on.
I don't think that's happening anywhere. I don't know why you do that.
No, probably not. But you thought he was like almost like worth the first, and now he hasn't been producing for you. And you're seeing he's playing all these snaps and he's getting a decent amount of targets, so he's not fucking getting points. I'm mad. Like,
how many second round picks have you blown in your life? There's worse options to go blow a second round pick on. Really,
I once traded a second round pick for like
Hakeem Butler.
Who was the backup quarterback for Mason Rudolph? in Pittsburgh.
Dobbs.
No, before Dobbs.
Mm-hmm.
I met Landry Jones.
Landry Jones.
Once bet a second on Landry Jones in Superflex League.
I mean, we spent
a lot of second round.
Spent seconds on Isaiah Spiller this year, and that's not looking so good.
No, it is not.
So
should have drafted Algier instead.
Maybe I did.
You already said you didn't.
Well, in the only rookie drafts that I had chances at him, I did not draft him, but it was mostly because I was drafting Romeo Dubs.
Or Dubes, as you like to call them. Smoking those dubs.
So there may be a chance to buy Gabe Davis. Stephon Diggs has been unreal. He'll be just fine.
Yeah.
There could be maybe on a deeper, on like a shallow FFPC league, maybe you could pick up Shakir, and maybe you could don't waste your waiver claim and don't waste any fab, but maybe you could get Shakir if you have a bench spot available because somebody went on IR or something in redraft.
Yeah.
You could throw him on the bottom, and he did get some run at the end of that game. I think he did have a couple catches. I could probably find that real quick. That's Jaguars. Nope. Anyway,
you gonna help my man out over there?
I'm on it. I'm
with
right
some
there.
words. Just
I'm
what we
was
need here.
concerned about what you were doing.
I was gonna go fix a camera angle, but then nobody started talking.
Targets
so
2 for 2 for 23 for Shakir there coming on
Shakir.
after McKenzie and Crowder. So a little bit of love there. I think he could keep moving forward. He was a guy that we'd like to maybe take over that slot next year. Was a third favorite of ours in the third round there. So just a guy to watch there. Let's move along. Let's move over to Cleveland and get to your Atlanta Falcons and more Tyler Algier for you. On the Brown side, nothing too excited except for Nick Chubb just absolutely crushing. A bust for your Amari Cooper, which is, he's pretty big, nice history of being boomer bust for you, and especially is probably going to be even more boomer bust with Jacoby out there.
Gotta have him on the bench until you need him.
Yeah, it seems like it's
not doing it for fun anymore.
It seems like it's either a Cooper week or a DPJ week. They can't coexist.
Yeah.
But you know whose week it's been the last 2 weeks?
Who's that?
David Njoku.
David Njoku. Yeah, we put out a trade video the week before Njoku, saying probably trade for anybody on that Browns offense just because it's hasn't been doing super great. And when Watson gets back, I think there's going to be a whole lot of opportunity. Your buy window right after that, Njoku because he was playing so much, and then he got crazy targets in the game before this, and then another really good game this week. Your buy low window is probably slam shut, but from the way they're using him right now to where it could be with Watson, even though the lowest window has closed, I'd still buy for a medium window, medium price. I mean, would you in tight end premium? Let's just throw it there. Would you go 2 for Njoku right now?
A second?
Yeah,
sure.
How about you, Mr. Jason?
Traded 2 for Njoku?
Mr. Jason.
All day. Yeah, I mean, I don't know that you can do that. I mean, maybe not tight end premium, but in tight end premium, I don't think you can get him for 2.
Yeah, maybe not, but I'd send that out just to see if you can grab him. I definitely wasn't a big target of mine in the offseason, but as we got into the season and we could see the usage, at least the routes participation, 67 snaps, 34 route run, which is, Amari Cooper was at 36, so he's at damn near.
He's barely coming off the field, running the routes.
He's in the high 80s of route participation.
Yeah.
And seeing targets. So Harrison Bryant did see some targets in this one, but Njoku was like 5 for 70.
Tyler says, I hope Njoku stops producing so I can get him for cheap. I think that ship has sailed. He balled out on a primetime game. I would assume everybody saw that. And then, I guess recency bias, though, for sure.
Yeah, and I don't know. He's not a huge fanfare guy necessarily. Like some guys, ball gets rolling a whole lot faster than others. I don't know that the Browns offense Njoku ball has really gotten on a full tumble where everybody's name is everybody's just shouting his name to say bye David Njoku right now. So maybe there's still a little bit of opportunity. How about non-tight end premium? Would you spend the 2?
I'd have to need a tight end.
Dawson Knox for Joku?
Yeah.
All day, right?
Mm-hmm.
Any format for me?
Easily.
Yeah, easily. Yeah.
Kick the 3rd in?
On the Knox side?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Probably, yeah.
We get 24th, 3rd.
Would you trade Knox in a 2 for Joku?
No.
Get the 3rd back? 2-3 swap, Joku Knox?
It's not enough. I don't want to part with the 2 and
yeah.
I don't have any Knox, so I don't even really know how I feel about that. Knox on Fox on box socks. Too many kids books over here. Fox Socks and Fox and Socks though, strong fucking book.
Tongue twisters for days.
Yo, put an instrumental beat and try and rap to it.
There's a video of that already. Yeah,
it's Dr. Dre beats. That guy did a lot of rehearsing for that.
Not a Fox and Socks guy?
I think it's fine.
Fine.
Quick aside here. The Hop on Pop was banned in the Toronto Library for father abuse.
Father abuse?
Yeah.
Now they have stopped making and selling several of his books,
but not Hop on Pop.
Yeah, not for in the book, he didn't like getting hopped on.
They only stopped selling the racist ones.
Probably definitely for the best.
Anyway, let's hop back on the Browns pop. They say pop over
More
there?
Browns?
Cleveland?
I don't know. I don't really care what
Is
they
it
say.
north
Cleveland.
enough?
I think they might say
I
pop.
don't say pop.
I'm not sure. Like I said, Amari Cooper bummer. DPJ.
Just
leading in targets with 9.
Yeah, it's week 1, week 4, and then 2 and 3 was Cooper weeks.
5 for 71. So there's lots of options to go buy cheap. David Bell, 3 targets. That'd be my biggest target right now on this offense. To go buy.
Well, yeah, because you got to think all these guys are going to improve with
for sure.
Quality of targets come when Watson comes back.
And, we talked about this in the offseason with Chubb's obviously on a tear right now, and the opportunities of scoring will be a lot better, and the offensive functionality you think will be better, but maybe the Chubb usage is not quite as high, with maybe getting a little more. I mean, you just kind of see, like, look at what the Cowboys are doing right now with Cooper Rush. Like, all of a sudden you simplify everything. You're in kind of close, with these crooked number games.
Yeah.
And it's working. You kind of go back to the basics, which is kind of what Cleveland's doing. They've always had a good run scheme.
Yeah.
And when you get Watson in there, it just goes into, Chiefs, Bills, all that kind of territory where the running back starts being used as an afterthought in most weeks.
I also don't think the Chiefs or Bills have a Nick Chubb.
They certainly do not. They could, but even their running games could, like you just saw this past week, that the Chiefs were a little bit more balanced in their attack.
Having a big lead tends to help.
If Chubb's getting 12 attempts a game, and and then Hunt's maybe mixing in a little bit more because does a little bit more on passing situations for them. I guess my question is there any concern with how well Chubb's playing right now for when
Deshaun comes back?
No, because I think if the offense is better, if they're up by 10, 14 points, then they're not going to be throwing the ball.
I feel like we've made so many arguments for why you shouldn't take Chubb. I'm done. I'm fucking done. I'm not going to try and make an excuse or try and predict some terrible thing to happen to Nick Chubb. He's just a fucking beast.
Yeah. He's always been a beast, though. So
I know, but I just can't. I can't say anything negative about Nick Chubb or potentially I'm done denying or withholding back. I blew it. I wish I had him on some more teams.
Yeah.
He's just taking his game to another level, and he's fucking old and RB dog years.
I don't know that he's always been this good. It just always ebbs and flows with touchdowns for him because he doesn't really catch a whole lot of balls. And now he's been really good to start this season, but he's always really good.
Really good might be an understatement.
He's always really good rushing.
Oh, he's the best running back.
Right. Like week 1, he had like 134 yards. He still only scored 13 fantasy points because he didn't catch any footballs and didn't score. Like, he's still awesome.
15.
But like, you don't necessarily, and that's not like for the dude who led the league in rushing. That's not.
Yeah.
I guess that's kind of what I was.
15 points is his floor. I mean, he's got he's catching some balls, and he's scoring
2 for 9.
So we're gonna touchdown regression. He doesn't catch any balls. I can't do it.
Maybe a little bit just opportunity regression is more or less what I'm saying. Like, hey, we get into different situations. Like I said, Bills, Chiefs, all the guys with really efficient, good quarterbacks seem to just really drift away from that run game. And right now they're completely leaning on a run game.
I mean, you nailed it. You said maybe it would be even better for Chubb with Brissett there, and I was like, that doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't really make sense, and the analytical people are basically screaming right now, telling me that I'm an idiot. But
well, I don't know why. I mean, you nailed it, but they do like to scream and yell and be mad. But
nobody's moving Chubb off Chubb, selling high on Chubb right now.
No.
I mean, it's a good time, and he is old. So if you're trying to rebuild, if you're 0-4 or 1-3, and you've been looking to try and rebuild, make a move, but like, you got to get a fucking lot.
You get 2 firsts for Chubb.
I would do that.
That's probably a pretty good return. Would you trade 2 firsts for Chubb?
No.
To make a push?
I would. See, that again, we talked about this in like week 1. Like, this is the then problem with Chubb. We've seen it every single year. The fantasy community puts no value on this man. So, like, right now, if you could get the value for, hey, listen, if you're a top 4 team and you got a great roster, there's absolutely no reason in the world you should be trading Chubb. I think we're having a show right here trying to have conversations. I think this is a problem with dynasty players, the dynasty community as a whole, is everything has to be sold, and everybody's always kicking the can down the road to build this crazy dynasty team, which they miss on half these picks anyway, and end up just being in the same situation over and over and over again, because everybody always tells you, if you're not the best team in the league, to basically just sell all your assets and rebuild. And sometimes it's not that easy. If you're playing in a league with a bunch of jerk-offs, then sure. But, if you're playing in a league where people are making good moves and the drafts, there's never a whole lot of great value in the draft, and trades are hard to pull off and get the huge advantage in trades, it can be, unless you want to put in the time and the basically volume shooting that it takes to get good trades done. Because you're not going to get good trades done by sending a few offers out here and there. You got to be relentlessly trading and sending offers.
Yeah, I don't have time for that.
Right. And a lot of people don't. So, like, the rebuild isn't going to go as well if you're not going to be relentlessly.
And you also have to here's another thing you have to do. You have to get lucky sometimes too.
100%. You got to hit with some of these draft picks and knock them out of the park. And then also, and some of those trades that you were maybe getting kickers or the lower value guys, those lower value guys turn into high value guys.
Not actual kickers, by the way.
Right.
Just take the kickers off.
Right. But, we do see this with Nick Chubb, him being we saw it this year. I mean, just push down below all of these other backs. And it's probably he's not getting younger. It's probably going to continue again this year, even if he has a good season. So that's really was the crux of my conversation is, is he maybe playing better because of the situation, and then Deshaun comes back and maybe it dries up a little less than it is right now, and then maybe you should try to get out now if you can.
Let's say this. Here's a hypothetical for you. Your team's 2-2.
Mm-hmm.
You've got a half decent team. You just lost Javonte Williams. Do you trade a first for Nick Chubb?
I'll trade a first for Nick Chubb in any pretty much format.
Do you trade a first plus for Nick? Let's say you get a first and a second, or first and a third.
I would which run that by me again.
Would you trade a first and a second on a 6th place team that's 2-2? You just lost Javonte Williams for the year.
I mean, maybe because Javonte Williams really only had one great week there.
When he caught 11 passes.
Week 1 was pretty solid. I don't believe he's been great other than that. He's been fine. Maybe I would trade. I would probably try to figure out a way to not give the 2 up. But I was
talking values.
Right. I would trade the first right now on a team to get the opportunity to win. If I think I'm in a situation in the next 2 years where I could try to win. I don't think enough people do take those opportunities, because I feel like it's the the scarlet letter. People will shame you because you took a chance to shoot your shot on a decent team and add a really decent player, and then in 2 years you're like, oh well, there's no value left in that, and maybe Nick Chubb didn't quite perform like you wanted to, and that was a stupid move. It's like, I mean, championships are fleeting, and you also have to get lucky to win championships.
Yeah.
When you have a pretty good roster, go in. You got to pay the price of admission. Like, it's pretty tough out there to win. So if I could trade a first and a third to get Chubb on a team that I felt pretty good about, I wouldn't be upset about it.
Okay.
I think that's fine. You got any closing thoughts over there?
Chubb's the man. Chubb's in red, man. We spent like 20 minutes on him. We got so much more to get to.
Well, I mean, we're just talking
Chubb
Chubb
for
maybe.
ET in 2 seconds. That was one of the chat
Chubb
questions.
for ET.
Oh, okay.
Chubb.
ET and 2 seconds?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the problem with ET right now is
He's doing nothing.
absolutely
It's
nothing.
not nothing, but it's not
pretty
what
much nothing.
It's pretty much he's not in your starting lineup.
No way.
No, you can't have a starting lineup.
So in a sense, he's doing nothing.
It seems like a good time to buy ETN, so I hate advising trading away ETN right now because I do believe in the talent of ETN. But if you're ready, if you got a pretty good team and ETN's killing you right now, then sure, I'll do that.
All right.
I'm not doing that.
It's not all that different than a first and a second.
Here I am wanting to move off Chubb and I bring it back around.
Yeah. All right. So then on the Atlanta Falcons side of things, you had Patterson go on IR this week. Obviously, I don't even want to talk about Kyle Pitts because I don't know what's going on over there. And, you could say.
Would you trade
I guess
Pitts, Edmonds, and Elijah Moore for Higbee and Gordon?
No.
No, that's no.
That must be redraft.
Sure.
Then sure.
Gotta be redraft.
Have run that by me again in redraft.
Pitts, Edmonds, and Elijah Moore for Higbee and Gordon.
No, actually, I'm not doing that.
Yeah,
I'm not
I
doing
think
that in
either
any
format, I'm probably sticking with those other guys and seeing if we can break out of this funk that we're in.
All right, get to Algier.
So obviously Pitts has been doing absolutely nothing in redraft. It definitely stinks. In Dynasty, there's nothing you can do about it.
No, you can't because especially in tight end premium, like you can't not start him because you literally paid a first round draft pick, a startup pick for him. Like you can't sit him because the week you sit him, he's going to go off for 7 and 90 and 2 touchdowns.
Right.
Even though he's only got 1 touchdown.
Maybe if you had week 4 Higbee, maybe you plug Higbee in and bench Pitts for a week.
I did say the reason for not starting Higbee was because Van Jefferson was out. I was not expecting him to miss this much time.
I would be in favor. I'm okay with benching Pitts right now if you have another guy like Joku or somebody who is at least getting some volume.
Pitts or Conklin?
Whew. Seems like you should play Pitts, and that's not sexy to play Conklin, but at least he's been getting you 10 points a game.
The stat line for Conklin and tight end premium is sexy as
Yeah. But Algier comes in this week, and we finally get a little bit of him. The breakdown in this is interesting. We got all plays. Algier, 20 plays to the rest of the running back. Patterson had 16. Caleb Huntley had 12. Avery Williams had 3, and 2 back sets were 4. So I think CPat was a little banged up through that game. So that was,
I saw he played 6 snaps in the entire second half.
It was nice to see that. That's probably a big reason why that pie graph was kind of like that. But it's nice to see that Algier was the guy that they kind of came in and leaned on here.
Had a big rush, 42 yards.
Got the early down work pretty much. I'm sure after, I don't have those splits necessarily once CPat was hurt.
And he got most of the third. I think he got most of the third down work too.
Third down, it's a good call. Third down work, he was 6 totes to 1 and 1, and one was a 2-back set. The other one was Avery Williams. The short yardage, Caleb Huntley, feels like that should go to Algier. And
I think a lot of the I don't know if it was the short yardage or the goal line, but I think they were in goal to go set went after the 42-yard rush, and I think Huntley came in after that. So I think that may be skewing it a little bit, but that also could be wild bias on my end as well too.
Right. So the goal line work was 3 Caleb Huntleys to 1 Avery Williams.
Yeah, and I think that the 3 goal line carries were right after the 42-yard run.
So are we plugging Probably should see who the Falcons have this week. Are we
They playing the Bucks, so no.
Plugging Algier
Not putting
this week?
Algier in this week. I'm maybe as a flex.
What if you just lost
CPat.
or if you just lost Javonte?
I mean, he might not be a bad flex play because he's getting the third down work, and they're probably gonna be playing from behind.
He's getting some passing work, and they do want to run the fuck out of it. And
I think they ran it like 10 or 12 times in a row.
I mean, that's clear. They definitely are showing you that they want to be a balanced
35
team.
runs to 20 pass runs.
Yeah, because Mariota sucks. I mean, it's about Ritter. It's about to be Ritter time.
Well, if that's it. I would
disagree.
I
I
would
don't know
say,
that I'm
what the fuck
excited
are
about
y'all
that,
doing?
but-
And like, it would be a whole lot easier to give Arthur Smith a whole lot of shit. But they've been in pretty much all of these games.
Yeah,
like that's the part that sucks.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, they should have won week
And they
1
won.
against the Saints. Yeah,
right. And they won this week.
Yeah,
and
it's a huge bummer.
it's
that they
just
won,
like,
because he's just
the Rams game
smuggest
probably
man.
wasn't quite as close as the scoreboard
It was not,
indicated.
no.
But they have at least scoreboard wise stuck around in a lot of these games and been right in it. Had some chances to win a bunch of them. So it sucks that it's you want to be like, fuck Arthur Smith, what an idiot, but like
he's 2-2,
playing it close to the vest.
Yeah.
And in the regard of saying, hey, Mariota sucks, like, if that's the case, then just play Ritter. I don't think you're going to see Ritter though, unfortunately, until I don't know. The Steelers made a
they were
switch here.
losing though when
They were.
losing.
The Falcons have been losing too. So I don't really understand that, if it's really the Mariota is an issue for them. And I just think they want to play a balanced game and let their defense seems to be half decent. So no, not a whole lot of Algier plays for you guys this week.
I think it's tough too with they're playing the Bucks.
Are buys coming in this week? Week 5 buys? I don't know.
I'll take a look.
Because you could do worse. The matchup isn't great, so I'm not itching to get Al Geyer into my lineup. But if I had to start 2 bums this last week because I didn't have Swift and
week 6 is buys.
Okay.
So in Dynasty, it's tough right now. I didn't have Swift. I didn't have Kamara.
You guys are talking about your flex position. I'm thinking like, fuck, a lot of teams need an RB2, Bo.
Right. I need an RB1. I started Eno Benjamin and Craig Reynolds in a fucking league last week because I literally my 3 other guys are all fucking.
I have to ask, did you win?
I did not.
Okay, just making sure.
Monty is out, and then Gibson could get muddied up.
I don't have Keenan in that league either. Like, I just getting wrecked.
Now you got JT bagged up.
Right,
now you got
fuck it.
CPat
Top 12 play. Tyler Algier.
At least top 24. Come
Probably,
on.
yeah. He's at least.
Come on
if you have a better option, you're looking fucking great right now.
Yeah, I think that's a great point.
All right, real quick before we move off the Falcons, which I do want to do, let's get to a question in the chat. Let's see. Wade, what up? Wade said I got offered Drake London, DJ Moore, and an early 23 first. So that's a lot, although fuck DJ Moore. For Debo, James Cook, and Gallup.
No, I'm sticking with Drake London, DJ Moore, and the 23
Yeah,
first.
he got that trade was offered to him. He has Debo, Cook, and Gallup. So
yes.
See ya.
Yeah, for sure.
Much
Yeah.
as it sucks to
I mean,
lose
it sucks
Debo,
to lose
but
Debo.
Yeah, but
If you could sub DJ Moore out
for exactly
someone
what
like
you saw in this game just happened
Right.
a little while ago for the second score that's going on right now. But
if you need my thoughts on James Cook, go back and see the one with JB on it, and I'll tell you how I feel about James Cook.
But see you later.
Yeah.
Let me get Drake.
Drake in that early 23
And I
first.
mean, I'm fine with hating on DJ Moore right now and starting somebody else over him, but he is a good player.
Yeah,
it's just that the offense is cheeks right now. And
well, that's because they got dumbass Matt Rule and no quarterback.
What's his? Who's the Giants coach with the
Brian
menu?
Dable? Brian Dable.
McAdoo.
Yeah,
I think they got McAdoo
McAdoo
over there with the fucking slick back play sheet that's 16 feet long.
Looking like a goddamn
that offense
Cheesecake
is
Factory menu.
Just trash. Baker is not great.
Here's a question I forgot to squeeze in there. JF, I'm getting offered Hollywood Brown and Antonio Gibson for Amari Cooper.
Hollywood Brown and who?
Antonio Gibson. I'll do that trade.
For what? For Amari?
Yeah, send away Amari to get Hollywood and Antonio Gibson.
What are we? Is it Dynasty or redraft?
12-man full PPR.
You guys should probably specify.
I did ask him to specify. That was probably before I asked him to specify. I don't know, actually. That might be redraft.
In redraft, I'll take Hollywood
Yeah.
So either way.
I think I would take the Hollywood side either way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I'm okay with that. Gibson doesn't do a whole lot for me in redraft, but
Right.
I'm just hoping Gibson gets traded to this point.
yeah.
Yeah, because he does have like another year on his contract. That's kind of a fucking bummer, but
All right, let's get out of here. Let's move over to Chargers, Texans. Chargers 34, Texans 24.
Woo! Dameon
Really,
Pierce, that's it.
I'm only stopping here to just say Dameon motherfucking Pierce. That's all I'm stopping here to say.
Maybe like one of these gifts.
Yeah. We had Riley, Bymaster, Bader, whatever his tag is.
It's Bymaster.
And he said he was replaceable. I say go fuck yourself.
I don't have any Dameon Pierce to sell, so I'm not doing anything.
Sucks for you.
So you'd just be selling high, baby, right? That's all it is.
Yep.
Just gonna stick with that take with the TAEK, right?
Yeah. I think
That's the take got like twisted and you can't get out of it. You're like stuck in.
He caught 6 passes this week. What do you think about that?
For a whopping 9 yards.
It was
Regardless,
Oh, sorry.
regardless,
That's a touchdown. That's a fucking extra touchdown.
Told he wasn't getting any passing work.
And a 75-yard touchdown run. Woo! We got some electricity there, and they were down, and he's still getting fucking fed.
It's fine. I just literally have 0 shares.
I'm not
I don't
asking
have
you about
any.
your fucking
I don't
shares.
have any-
No
I
one
don't
gives
have
a
any
fuck
either,
about
and
any of
I'm
y'all's
sad,
fantasy teams.
And I'm sad that I don't have any shares.
I got some redraft Dameon Pierce.
Sad.
No one cares about our fantasy teams. What do you got to be like?
I just wanted to stop by to say, hey, look at Pierce.
Yeah.
Here we go.
still selling.
You can sell.
That's fine.
We'll revisit in a few weeks.
We'll
and
just keep revisiting every week. He fucking crushes.
eventually you'll be on board.
I don't know. Matt really likes to stick with whatever he initially went with. He
Let's
doesn't
stick
like
to
to
the-
really change.
Oh, Allen Robinson. I could kind of use that.
He
Allen Robinson
He had a
touchdown.
catch.
Did
He had a catch for a yard.
One catch, Allen Robinson.
Yeah, that's definitely a bummer for.
He sucks.
That was a swing and a miss for me this year.
Get rid of him.
It's a nice little release there, though.
Rex Burkhead's still playing in a lot of goal line and third down and 2-minute situations. Is what it is there. He's 32 and injury prone. We also have a rookie in here. So in those, a little bit more high pressure, got to know exactly what's going on situations. Maybe a few weeks from now, we start seeing that being split up a little bit. And if that starts being the case, then really, really huge wheels up for Dameon Pierce. Oh, son of a biscuit eating bulldog. Should have been a pick.
That was a bad throw. That was a bad throw.
Anyhow, let's go Jacksonville, Philly. 21-29, a little rain-soaked remnants of the hurricane action going up down there in Philly. Doug's return to Philadelphia. They gave him a nice standing O.
Yeah, great sports town.
It's a beautiful, it's a beautiful beautiful moment. I think my wife looked like she was gonna cry. It was the nicest thing that Philly's ever
That's
done.
probably they gave him a standing O.
They gave him a nice.
Sure did. Yeah.
Wow,
I mean,
he did
he
get him
just-
a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And they said, "Take off that stupid fucking visor. It's raining out." Because that's what I would have said.
At least it's not backwards.
After you would have thrown, I don't know what,
A
used meth
car
needles at
battery.
him.
Yeah.
Both good answers.
So ugly kind of game here from kind of both sides. It was kind of ucky out there.
It was raining hard.
It was. Jalen Hurts, did what he needed to do to get this done. And on the other side, you could see the difference between those two quarterbacks. Trevor Lawrence not really doing what it needs to get done. A couple of terrible boneheaded
Four
fumbles.
fumbles.
Two of those were really bad. Two of
and
those
then
were just
one of them. He was on
heartbreaking.
a rollout on a 4th down call early in the game, just rolling out, and he dropped the ball, which he would have probably been a decent conversion for him.
Is T-Law a buy right now in Dynasty?
I mean, I don't know that anybody's necessarily trying to get after some T-Law right now.
Get out of T-Law.
Or get out. I'm not. Like, I got T-Law in 2 or 3 spots, and
We just got off of Kyler
excited.
Murray for T-Law. We turned that shit down.
It's a cheap league. I wanted. It's the UDPL.
Fuck Kyler Murray.
But I got a bunch of experts paying for $50. So split 3 ways.
Up that ante, fellas.
So I just wanted to keep him. You probably should make that trade. You should probably trade Kyler. Probably trade T-Law for Kyler. But
just getting started over there. Kyler doesn't even care.
So not the best showing after a really nice showing from T-Law last week. A not great showing from T-Law against a good competition. Like to see that in a little bit drier of a situation, but you're playing in what you're playing in.
Yeah.
Is what it is. Christian Kirk only 2 catches this week for 60 yards. Not worried about it. Other than that, ET situation. J-Rob with an early fumble. ET got some opportunities, but all you can say right now
catches
is,
a couple balls. What the fuck, man?
all you can say right now with ET is you just got to bench him, and there's
hope for brighter days ahead.
Yeah, I still like the player. If you took him in third rounds of dynasties and rookie draft or in redraft drafts right now, I would have been doing it too. So you're not alone. I liked it. It seemed like he was going to really at least get the first half of the season for the backfield to be his, and then J-Rob comes back and is looking good. So what the hell can you do?
So Achilles injuries aren't anything to worry about anymore, right?
not if you're J-Rob.
All the people just, he had an Achilles. Here's a big long list of medical shit from
There's
10
a lot
years
of,
ago.
A lot of we got a field goal there.
Look at Kevin Durant's been doing, like let's Matt Gay field goal. We need some fantasy points.
Hey, he's on my wife's fantasy team.
Nobody cares about your wife's fantasy. Really want to stop by here to talk about Miles Sanders. Just here to talk about Qualcomm. Thought he had a really nice game here.
He's had a really great season so far.
Really has. There's a couple of, the first game was nice. Had a little stumble. I don't know if that was week 1 or week 2, where he wasn't.
Week 3 at 5.4.
Yeah, wasn't super strong, but the other 2 weeks were pretty good.
11.6. It's okay.
I'll take that for where you were drafting him.
Yeah,
and where you've drafted a bunch of other dudes around that. Hello, Travis Etienne's replacement, Miles Sanders in my lineup every week. If I drafted him and Etienne, he's getting the play over him every single week until further notice. So, you have 67% snaps, 53% route participation in this particular game. I think he's averaging right around 50 or right below 50 for the season.
What's that?
Route participation, Miles Sanders. But 29.6 fantasy points this week, 27 attempts, 134 yards. Looked great. They did suffer 2 offensive line injuries in this game, which got him.
Melita went down.
Got to monitor that.
Use check. Always doing work.
Also caught 2 of 3 for 22 yards.
Did have a drop.
Right now he's RB9 in PPR.
That's it.
6th in attempts with 72. Third in yards, 356. 6th in yards after contact. 11th in more missed tackles forced with 13, and 4th in 10+ yard runs with 11.
Now that yards after contact, is that from a rushing standpoint?
Yeah, I assume so.
Okay,
because that's a filter in the rushing.
Is that the same PFF. Kind of yak? Does that count? I don't know. It's a different kind of yak. It's
different
kind
of yak,
I guess.
It's yards after catch, not contact.
True.
Yeah.
Still yak though.
So I mean, really, what we want to talk about here with Miles Sanders is this a buy, sell, hold? What are you doing with Miles Sanders? It seems like you're kind of maybe getting a little bit of resurgence of some running backs who were in the later round, still kind of potential bell cow-ish running backs here in the last week or two.
Yeah.
And Miles Sanders, putting up some good stats for the most part and being a pretty decent part of your fantasy lineup right now. Gotta
integral part of your fantasy lineup.
Yeah, RB right now is bad, and we were counting on guys like Miles Sanders and Jacobs and Monty and JK Dobbins and all those guys. We thought we were going to put our running back position in a good place, and they quite haven't yet. And this week we had a week where they did. They gave you some production, and Miles, like you said, has been pretty good all year. So if you have Miles, are you buying, selling, holding? What are your thoughts on Miles Sanders?
I'm holding unless I can get like a premium price for him.
Right, which doesn't seem likely.
Like you're not going to get a first for him.
No,
right?
I can't imagine.
He's 25. He will be an unrestricted free agent after this year.
I think that's the silver lining, and maybe if you wanted to pay a little extra, if you say there's no chance you're buying Miles Sanders though.
I think the person who has him is going to be asking for a lot.
It's only a matter of time before he.
I mean, why would you want to?
Leaves in after the first series and really crushes you in the crucial moment of your fantasy season.
Yeah, I think the price is just going to be too high to buy him right now.
This is the bad week to buy him.
Sure,
you just missed the 5-point week, but I have a hard time with Miles Sanders with take lock and not wanting to really. I got in recently, like last year, and he burned me, and I'm like, this motherfucker. I never liked him. Then I finally bought in because he's cheap enough, and then he fucked me.
I feel like
going out of a game early and being hurt.
I feel like the Penn State fan club over here, if he's not all in on the buy, then
I'm just not buying because the price is too high.
Right.
I mean, I love the player.
What's interesting is we were kind of
like love.
He's no Saquon.
We were kind of talking, You
would take him to a Dashboard concert, though.
Yeah, for sure.
if we talk about the popularity of these guys, it seems like Miles Sanders could be a guy that if the ball gets rolling in the right way, there's still a constituent of people who really like Miles Sanders, so that ball could get rolling pretty quickly, getting back in the good graces of the court of public opinion. Any thoughts on that?
I mean, I just don't know how much higher he can go up from where he's at.
2.2s right now for Miles.
Would I buy him for 2.2s right now? Yes.
Obviously, we're talking about a
little bit more of a
contender.
24.
Sure, if you have 2.23s or however you want to spin it, doesn't really matter.
I could give you a late 23 and 4.
J-Rob or Miles.
Miles Sanders. That's easy for me. I don't even really like Miles Sanders.
Yeah, but I think I'd think about it. I don't know if I really want to do that deal on either side.
Jacobs or Miles Sanders?
Jacobs. He's got a year younger.
Same draft class.
Undrafted free agent after this year, but he's a year younger. Like Jacobs came out super young.
Rashad Penny or
Sanders.
Yeah, same situation contractually.
Clyde or Miles Sanders. I think I'd go Clyde. Got a little Chiefs lamp. Got an extra year there in the Chiefs offense.
I think the silver lining for me is that Miles has a chance to get out of this offense, but
you don't want him to get out of this offense, do you?
The problem is Boston Scott's been getting goal line work, and he wasn't in there this last week.
And that's what took him from 5 points to 20 something. What is it?
Not necessarily, but it's not. It sucks.
Seems like it though.
He goes down to the fucking goal line, and then Boston Scott comes trotting out, and Gainwell scored a touchdown this week.
Yeah.
And Gainwell takes some of that away from him, but if Miles is playing they recognized that Miles Sanders was playing really well, and they kept rolling with him. And if he's going to keep doing this kind of stuff, and if he can be a guy who gets 15 carries and 3 or 4 passing, attempts basically, or catching attempts, however you want to targets, I think I might go Miles Sanders there, but it seems like you should go CEH. But I think I'm sticking with Miles Sanders.
I'm sticking with Sanders.
Clyde. Let's Clyde. See what I did there?
No.
I like it.
How about...
You don't see what I did there? It was Russell Wilson. He has this promo for the Broncos where he's like talking about riding to a victory, I guess. I don't know. You should look it up.
Can you shut his mic off?
I wish I could.
No, I can, but you can't.
Juju or Miles Sanders?
Miles Sanders.
Miles.
Fucking Juju's crushing me right now.
So
just want him to be good, but I can't will him to catch a touchdown or reach a seat. He has no ceiling. We were talking about this before the fucking mics turned on. He has no ceilings. He's like Lil Wayne, but not in a cool way. Like there's no ceiling for Juju right now.
It's all floor.
There's fucking 5 for 50.
There's no way.
I didn't draft him to be Cole Beasley last year. Like
there's no way you could get Elijah Moore right now for Miles Sanders.
Ooh, I like that. I don't think Moore really crushed it. He looked like he was about to crush it.
He hasn't crushed it all.
He had 2 catches early in that game.
You want to get Elijah Moore for Miles Sanders?
There's no way that you could trade Miles Sanders and get Elijah Moore.
Maybe people are thirsty for running backs, and the recency bias is not good on Elijah Moore.
You would trade. You don't like Elijah Moore.
No.
All right.
So you would trade Elijah Moore to get Miles Sanders then?
Yes.
I want more.
I would go that way as well.
That's fine.
How about Gabriel?
My son Gabriel walks in.
Dropped him a little.
Gabriel, no. Stay. Let the boy watch. He needs to learn.
You talk about that scene of Eastbound and Down more than anything I've ever seen.
I was hanging out with some editors of the Gemstones show, and asked them if there was going to be a reboot of Eastbound and Down. They said no. And I was
no.
like, are there any outtakes like that one scene? Like there's those outtakes of Ashley Schaefer. I started talking to them about it, and I started quoting it, and they were fucking dying, laughing like they hadn't really. I don't know. I guess they heard it, but it was a long time ago.
Let's ride.
Needed that.
No Kittle, or he got it.
No, he didn't.
He didn't get it. He didn't get the right foot in.
How does he not get the right foot in?
It's right there. It's
Anyway,
clearly.
go check out the outtakes from Eastbound and Down. Ashley Schaefer.
They just happen to live in our neighborhood. Jason doesn't know that cool of people.
Whatever. I know plenty of cool people.
Let's clear that up right now.
I know plenty of cool people.
He wasn't just, just hanging out with some of my Hollywood people.
Charleston's popping right now.
I had another one. What was I doing?
What you guys had between Davis and Sanders?
We didn't.
Yeah, we got distracted.
I'd go Gabe, I think.
Gabe.
Yeah, I think you have to go Davis there as well too. But
all right, you like not love Miles Sanders?
Yeah, I mean,
so if you're going Gabe, then you would definitely go Lazard. Or you would definitely.
No, I think I'd still stick with Sanders.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I meant. Sorry. Yes.
I have no idea what you're talking about when you talk
Can you
about
just
trades.
not talk about trades?
You would not. You would keep Sanders over Lazard.
Yes.
Just
correct.
make it simple. Sanders or Lazard. Just do go or.
You would keep
No,
Miles
or.
Sanders over
Correct.
Lazard.
Sanders
Correct.
or Lazard.
Correct.
I still don't know which one it is.
I want Sanders over Lazard.
Got it. Me too. Let me get that running back.
Same answer with Dubs. Just
Oh no, I want Dubs.
So you would trade Romeo Dubs right now?
I guess that's. I need more than Dubs, but yeah, I mean, fuck. Dubs is. He's probably gonna be without Rodgers. It's a little bit of a recency bias hype with Dubs. I do love Dubs. I do think Dubs is better fantasy dynasty asset than Lazard, right?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't think so.
So let me get a little plus. Let me like Dubs in a second.
I don't think you can do that.
I don't think
No.
you're
I
getting
think
that.
I think that would
I'll
be
give the 3 back.
Yeah, I don't think you're getting anything plus.
No.
I wouldn't.
You're holding Sanders.
I could hold Sanders. That's a tough one for me. It really does seem like Dubs is kind of emerging right now, and he fucking about had a ridiculous day this past week.
that just the ball came out when he hit the ground in the end zone. There would have been like a.
The only thing that holds you back from me smashing the Romeo side is
Aaron Rodgers' age,
Rodgers'
yeah.
longevity,
Ajay.
and then what happens after that,
Mhm.
TBD.
It ain't Jordan Love.
Probably not. But you would think that the Packers will figure it out, but that's probably just because they have
The Gunther Kunst.
because they have in recent past. So, man, that's probably the toughest one for me.
They haven't figured it out. They've had 2 quarterbacks.
Well, that's
over the
what I'm
last, like,
saying.
30 years.
It seems like that's what I was saying. Like it seems like they would figure it out because they did, and it's basically spanned over this huge amount of time. But it was basically just one to another one time.
Yeah.
I'd would you trade? Let's do one more running back, Dameon Harris or Rhamondre for either one of those 2 guys for Miles Sanders, or however you want.
I would rather have Sanders over Harris for sure.
Dameon Harris, yeah.
I
I'd
think
rather have
Stevenson
Miles
too.
Sanders.
Just because
Harris is kind of in the same position where he's going to be, unrestricted after this year, I believe.
Stevenson's close.
Stevenson does have that allure.
Stevenson would have much more allure if we knew that he would be the guy in this offense once Harris was gone, but just that we don't know.
Yeah, you still have Pierre Strong and what's that cat's name from South Carolina?
Kevin Harris. I don't think
He's
he's
like on
really
the
a
practice
thing.
squad.
He's on the
if
practice squad,
anything,
but I mean they can only carry so many running backs.
I mean they'll draft like 3 more next year in the 6th, 7th, 8th round. So I know there's no
8th
8
round?
rounds.
that's undrafted free agents.
The compensatory picks. Harris is going to be an unrestricted free agent, and it would seem like, I mean, they were already floating trading him, and then James White retired, and then it seemed like that kind of died.
I just don't know if there was any market.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Dameon Harris, every time he gets the ball, fucking looks
He's good, man.
He's
both
not
of
a
those-
bad player.
both of those
So does
backs are good.
Rhamondre, and if he could,
I want to say that it should be. You should take the Rhamondre side of this thing, but I think I'm
1
sticking,
year younger with
I think
Rhamondre.
I'm sticking with Miles. But
Yeah,
it seems like
Right now, it seems like you should stick with Miles if you're trying to win. I mean,
yeah.
Maybe if you're trying to like improve your draft pick, you could.
But Ramondre's been pretty solid week in, week out,
playing all the third down work.
Yeah, they pull up the fantasy.
But
points here.
Harris is getting the touchdowns, so
Yeah,
it's like
yeah.
I think Harris has even had maybe some better weeks than Rhamondre. But yeah, the usage is definitely up for Rhamondre. But
he's averaging 10.3 fantasy points per game PPR wise.
All right, let's see here.
Let's keep it moving.
I got a question.
Okay.
Green Guy hit us up. Shout out to Green Guy. Let's see. Just a random question. Doesn't pertain to anything. I like to squeeze those in before we transition. Says he's got 623 firsts. Look at him go. Probably scattered early, mid, late, you know. He said, what's the most you'd pay for a basket of Adams, Travis Kelce, and then the Cook-Madison combo? So he's trying to get studs, older studs right there.
It seems like I don't
know.
Come on, that's a lot of points. Buying low on Cook right now. Devontae is doing okay. He hasn't reached his ceiling yet.
It doesn't seem like that would be really an obtainable,
because you're probably gonna have to pay 3 or 4
6 of them.
No, not 6. I don't know 6, but you're gonna have to pay 3 or 4 of them, and I don't really want to do that. Like,
yeah, I mean, if I could target 2 of those guys and get them somehow.
Yeah.
The
nice thing about Cook and Madison is that Madison's a free agent at the end of the year.
Correct.
Good time to buy Dalvin Cook right now. If you're trying to, I think he's a pretty good, like, make a late push trade acquisition because he's getting the usage. It just hasn't worked out. You know, he hasn't got any touchdowns.
But it looks real good.
But he, 20 carries a game, basically. So hard to argue with that. You feel like it's going to come, and we're early in the season, and these are the type of moves you need to make to get a good player. He is a little bit old, so you need to be in the right mindset of your team. But
yeah,
you're buying a nursing home there for dynasty purposes.
I mean, you got a good chance of winning this year if you already got a good team around those guys.
I mean, if you can give up 3 of those first to get all of those guys,
I don't think you can do that. You can't just give up 3.
If you think you're going to win right now, and I mean, that's a tough call, man. I feel like I'd want to make that call in a couple more weeks.
Yeah. See where you're at.
Is that a drop by Cooper Kupp?
No. You'd give the first for Cook.
No.
Cook and Madison?
The Cook-Madison combo, then maybe.
I would do that.
First for Devontae.
I would give you a first for Devontae if I felt like I was pretty competitive and was going to be in the mix of the top 3 teams.
Would you trade Devontae on a rebuilding team for a first?
Yeah.
Yes.
Already did. I traded him for way more than that.
It doesn't feel good, but...
Well, that's what I'm saying. You said way more than that, but you would take just the first?
I mean, I would try to finagle my way into more than that somehow.
All right. Let's see. We have not talked about the Steelers yet.
Let's go Jets.
I'll star that. Oh, we're going to do it now.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Let's go Jets, Steelers. Jets come out 24-20. Zach Wilson's first game back. Not great first half. Second half was pretty decent, though. PFF had him as the 12th QB 12 this week, and then they're grading. So good shit for Zach Wilson's debut. Had a couple of picks in there, but not a ton that were his fault necessarily. Conklin had one go off his hands that they picked. I think that might have been the pick 6 that got called back. But I did think, had a nice drive there at the end with Corey Davis, and didn't play poorly. He had one that he could have hit Brees on a swing near the end of that game. Brees ended up getting the touchdown. So all's well that ends well. But Corey Davis leading that Jets group this year with 261 yards. Yards per reception, 17.4, the ADOT 16.4. And then again was Wilson's guy in go time down the stretch here. So Corey Davis might not be a bad cheap throw-in target on another trade or just a cheap general I'd probably go after somebody bigger so it doesn't seem like I'm going after Corey Davis and try to get him as the throw in. But I feel like he could be a nice wide receiver 3 play on times. And Zach Wilson did have, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I think he had some good games with Zach Wilson in previous to this. So I think they have a little bit of a rapport. So Corey Davis, just a nice little piece to maybe.
He didn't have his like first target until like the end of the half.
Yeah.
The first half, and then didn't have a bunch of catches till like it was crucial, and he had like a big 4th down catch, had the big touchdown to put him ahead, and like so he was, and it's got to be pretty easy out there for my big ass stud yak guy in the middle of the field with Moore and Garrett on the outside, but it's just like, is Zach Wilson good enough? It's like there's got a lot of studs around Zach Wilson. Is he good enough to facilitate? It's like too much for him to facilitate.
You're gonna have to live with some.
It's like a best ball
plays,
team here.
Yeah.
But if he can figure out how to cut some of those bonehead plays out, they're like
got all the arm talent.
They're playing with the fifth string left tackle. They lost another left tackle in this game. The offensive line was supposed to be pretty decent, and it's not great right now. So that's not great for him. Like you want a good offensive line to help facilitate the young quarterback, give him some time, do all those kind of things. But I think Zach Wilson will be fine this year. I'm like, Jets are a team that with Zach Wilson back, I'm going to be tuning in most weeks just to see what's going on and how it might not be the best games every week, but this one wasn't the worst. And had a nice little comeback there to get his guys rolling. And Breece
watching that game, I do not know how they fucking won that game. They didn't deserve it.
I wouldn't say they didn't deserve it.
I think the Steelers lost more than the Jets won.
That's what I'm saying. Like the Jets did not deserve to win that game like they should. Like, and Zach was throwing it pretty well, but like then just makes some terrible throws. And
you're gonna have to live with that. Like he's his first game back off of knee surgery, and like he already did some of that. You're gonna have to figure that out and be able to stay in a script where you can maybe feature Breece Hall a little bit much with more speed. Speaking of, week 4, Breece Hall, RB1,
now it took him a minute.
Ushering in a new RB1 to the conversation here, potentially. It seems like, we kind of talked about this, that maybe you could see it being a bit more of a Nyheim Hines, JT situation kind of through the season, and it's played out that way. Maybe the transition's been a little quicker for Breece here than it was maybe for JT.
Also nice that Breece is getting a good bit of the passing work as
well, too. Breece is averaging 7 targets per game. So you fucking get that's Austin Eckler territory.
That doesn't even sound right. I guess it is 9-1, 11-6. That probably averages to 7.
Week 4, 66% of the snaps, 65% of the rush attempts, 61% of the route participation, 47% of the 2-minute offense, 41% of the long down and distance, 100% of short yardage, 100% inside the 5, and 100% inside the 10, thanks to PFF and who's the guy who Dwayne McFarland. That was courtesy of a tweet from him. And then on the week 3 snaps, on the week 3 to week 4 there, it was 54% snap, 40% on the attempts, 53% on the routes, 24% on the targets, and targets per route run were 37%. So all those numbers up, what you want to see, all trending in the right direction there. So another tweet to just kind of put that, a little more emphasis on that. This is a Jacob Gibbs tweet, I think a CBS, 41% snap rate in weeks 1 through 3, 67% week 4. Route involvement rate, 36% in weeks 1 through 3, 63% week 4. Running back rush share, 43% weeks 1 through 3, 65% week 4. So all those numbers going right in the right direction. And like I said, averaging 7 motherfucking targets per game. So everything you want to see out of Breece Hall right now is all trending in the right direction. You got Zach Wilson back. This offense could be there could be just some more dynamic parts to it, and you're gonna have to live with some dumb shit, but I think there's gonna be more going on and more opportunities for big plays with Zach Wilson in there.
Yeah.
Kind of moving forward. So Breece Hall, baby, welcome into the RB1 club, I think.
Yeah, and definitely you have to start him every week now.
100%.
Yeah.
And Michael Carter, maybe there for the first couple of weeks. You could have played them both if you had to, or gotten a little Michael Carter. Michael Carter's probably got to go to the bench from here on out. So let's shoot over to the Pittsburgh side of things. Are we ushering in the new guard of the Pittsburgh Steelers here, baby? We got.
I mean, you have to. I mean, you can't bench Trubisky and then be like, oh no, we're gonna play Trubisky again.
Which he wasn't playing absolutely terrible to begin that game. And if Deontay Johnson had caught the first ball, that went into an interception, and then later in the game had a beautiful ball that should have been a touchdown, but Deontay couldn't quite get his feet in. Like if Deontay would have made those two plays, it'd been a different story for Mitch.
Yeah.
But then Mitch goes out and makes some terrible fucking throws too.
Right. Well,
they're just like, God damn it.
Mitchell. It's Mitchell.
Yeah.
Could
bad on third down.
Could it be a little bit of
the fans
unfair and unlucky for Mitchell? Slightly, maybe so, but like it was tangible the way the team and the stadium reacted to Kenny Pickett getting in there, and it just seemed like
definitely a different vibe with Pickett in there.
Right. And if maybe if there would have been a little bit more if the offense hadn't been so flat for 3 weeks with Mitchell, maybe you would have bought yourself a little bit more time. If you would have had just a couple of quarters of good offense from Mitchell throughout, he probably could have fought through that little lull he was having in the first half, and you come in and Kenny Pickett comes right in and just starts delivering, man.
He's also 1-3. So, I mean, if you're losing games, you're going to get benched.
Well, sure, but but part of that is because the offense, he wasn't really doing.
Line sucks too.
Yeah, but Kenny made it work. The thing with Mitchell is he is athletic like Kenny. Like he can run around, and that's always been my thing with Mitchell is like I think that's when he's at his best is when he is moving around and running a decent amount. You saw Kenny come right in and use the athleticism, that 4.7 40 speed to kind of move around. And then he got down to the goal line and he snuck a couple in. I'd pretty much say that just about any of those picks aren't really Kenny Pickett's fault. The last one was a Hail Mary. Right. One of them was a tip pass.
It was a little bit high.
Right.
And the announcers were like, you probably shouldn't have made that throw, which I get it, but it hit Freiermuth's both. It hit his hands.
Yeah.
And then the other one was Claypool and it hit his fucking hands.
Right.
And Claypool, like, stop being a little bitch, man. Go up and make these fucking plays. You're going to brag about being the third best player in the fucking league, and you can't, like, go up and make a contested catch? Like, what the fuck? I'm so done with Claypool.
Acts like Tarzan and plays like Jane.
Shout out to former Penn State kicker Robbie Gould.
Who do we say that about?
That's what
that was.
That was Evan Silva about somebody.
One of the running backs, the one that he said
Balaj.
Balaj. He said he was a better between the tackles runner. No, I think I said that. We said that. But he was trying to say that Balaj was a better between the tackles runner than he was receiving back.
Do we have to rehash this again?
Every time with him. He can't let it go.
Well, you didn't recall correctly.
Oh, I 100% know that he said
didn't know.
Yes. It doesn't matter. Kenny Pickett coming back in, and what we saw was, I think, potentially ushering in the new, like there was some great throws to Freiermuth. All of a sudden, Kenny Pickett comes alive. Now, to be fair, Mitchell was targeting Kenny, but Kenny kind of comes alive here. Deontay Johnson seemed like the odd man out, and Claypool could just SDs on the sideline because that
he sucks.
Just a bit soft, it seems like. Doesn't play to what you think he should be playing to, right? I mean,
he had that one huge game last year, and
right. It might have even been 2 years ago.
Was it 2 years ago? I think it was. I don't know. He had 4 touchdowns in the game. I think it was 2 years ago.
So we're about to. We saw George Pickens have a nice little breakout game.
Yeah.
If he's out there in your redraft leagues, pick him up.
Pick him up.
Pickens him up.
Yeah, there just seemed to be a little bit of chemistry there. It looked like Freiermuth, as soon as he came in, Pickett delivered an absolute dime to Freiermuth while he was getting smashed. And I think what we could be seeing here is this offense has just been so stale for so long.
Yeah, the last 2.5 years.
With Ben, being a veteran and knowing how to facilitate the ball to move it somewhat, but just not being like just seeing the movement of Kenny and then standing in there and delivering big throws downfield. It felt different out there with Kenny at the helm, and I really liked what you saw from George Pickens, and it seems like maybe that we're about to get a potential breakout here for George Pickens. Now, would I say put him in your lineup this week?
No.
Put
him on your.
You could do worse, but yeah, I don't
It's a
necessarily
rough
want to
stretch
start
here.
him.
It's a rough stretch here
yeah.
for Pittsburgh.
Yeah, Pittsburgh's next 4 games have it written down.
Bills, Tampa,
Miami, and the Eagles. So a lot of negative game scripts there too.
Potentially. Or maybe we just see the offense actually being able to score some points here. Which they're loaded.
It's a fun offense, except for the line is a little bit suspect, but ridiculous skill position players. I was surprised Pickens was getting some good run with Trubisky early in the game, and then when you come in and your first real throw, you throw to Claypool and he lets you down like that, probably not going back to that fucking guy on a 50-50 ball. The rest of that shit went to Pickens, and I think only maybe completed 2 or 3 passes to Pickens from Pickett, or reverse that. I get Pickett and Pickens confused here, but them boys were probably playing together on the second team in the preseason and whatnot in training camp. And you could see the instant connection. He threw that beautiful back shoulder fade and Pickens went up and got it. And then made that catch along the sideline. And then
that ball there I think is everything that this offense was missing with Mitchell. It just seemed like there was so much confidence in that throw and them boys just being on the same page. The coverage was pretty good, but he just said, hey, my guy's better than your guy. I'm going to give him this little back shoulder kind of fade here, and it's going to be a nice little piece. It doesn't need to be difficult all the time. Let's just keep this simple. I think Pickett's got some familiarity with Canada, the offensive coordinator, so those are all positives, and he fits a little bit more of what Canada wants to do as far as moving pockets, bootlegging.
Yeah, they're going to have to with that line too.
Right. And I was a huge Pickett fan. It hasn't been that fun forever. You had this crazy off season and this crazy momentum swing on him. And it's just nice to see him out there doing things that that he's capable of doing, and that it seems like maybe you just got kickstarted into some Kenny Pickett startability here.
Almost,
I think he's starting, and I think he's worth starting in Superflex, but not in 1 QB leagues.
Would you trade Burks for Pickens? Yeah. I'm already regret. I took Burks over Pickens, and I'm not sure why I did that. I did it late in the rookie draft, and I was like, I think Burks might have some more immediate production. That didn't work out, and I was like, I almost took Pickens. I should have just taken him. I don't know. I would definitely trade you Burks for Pickens right now. I know you got a lot of Burks. You're not going to give me Pickens, so I'm bummed because I don't have any Pickens.
Whoop! Go, baby. Boom.
We're watching the Monday Night Football game in the background for those of you
He's dirty.
Wondering what the fuck y'all are talking about.
I can't even pronounce his name. It was a pick six.
That safety?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he's been balling out this year. So, yeah, I would definitely trade Burks for Pickens.
That's pretty easy. Hufanga.
Yeah.
You guys got anything more on Pickens?
Not really. Like I said, you probably don't want to throw him in your starting lineup, or Pickett or Pickens.
Either one.
Pickens, probably don't want to throw him in your starting lineup right now.
I'm not starting either of them.
I think you're getting a little birth of kickstart of, hey, we might be seeing the beginning of this. Pick him up in redraft if he's out there. I know he's out there in one of the redraft leagues. He had 8 targets, 6 receptions, 102 yards. And I think, he could be. We say this all the time.
I think there's going to be a change into the guard. I think he's going to move into the Claypool, getting more snaps and targets since Claypool. And
he's been playing a
Claypool's
reasonable amount
phased out. Yeah,
already.
Claypool's edged him by just a little bit.
Yeah,
and I think we're going to.
We talk about this all the time. When a new quarterback comes in, who's his guy? And, I don't know that Deontay Johnson's going to be the odd man out. I think he'll be just fine.
Yeah.
But Pickens could be his guy. Cooper Kupp wasn't Cooper Kupp until Stafford got there. He was always good, but he wasn't fucking the best receiver in the NFL good.
He wasn't 12 catches for 100 yards good.
It just depends on, who's in there. It's something that you always worry about when you change quarterbacks. Who's going to get those targets? How are they going to get them? What's the rapport going to be like? And it seemed like Pickens, just right off the rip with Pickett, just had a little mojo kind of working. So that makes me
almost
happy.
Even with the snaps and routes run this past
between
week.
Claypool and Pickens.
Yeah.
So that's pretty exciting, man. I liked that was a fun fourth quarter. Maybe there's a little buy low window with Naji Harris right now being hurt coming into the season and not necessarily maybe seeing the best of him right now. Really just hasn't been scoring the touchdowns and quite getting the receptions that he needs. But I think if we can get this offense moving and we can stop being like, hey, they're going to run it with fucking Naji right now.
It's not 3 yards in a cloud of dust.
Right. And he's not being contacted 2 yards behind the line of scrimmage when he touches the ball every time. If you could be moving the pocket and doing different things and getting him involved in the pass game a little more and getting him a couple touchdowns, there could be a slight buy low window if you want. I know there's a lot of hate out there on Naji that he sucks and he should have never been up this high in fantasy rankings anyway. So,
I mean, if you looked at what he did and the usage, it doesn't make any sense to me. And we've gone to bat for Naji since he came out. But JJB hit us up and said, should Naji Harris be considered a little bit of a panic? And if so, what's a reasonable trade in y'all's minds? You were just basically saying go buy low on Naji.
I wouldn't panic.
I'm not trying to panic. I'm not trying to sell him. You see how easy it is for Warren out there when he gets the ball because they're not worried about him. And hopefully, like you said,
I saw some Pickett stat where there was when Naji was in there, it was negative, 2 yards or negative 1.6. When the first defender's contacting him, and when Warren's in there, it's +5. That's just
because they're just oh shit, it's not Naji back there. Let's back up. Let's figure some other shit to focus on. And then he looks pretty good.
Always been a theory of mine. I'd love to talk to somebody who played in the league and knows more than I. And I think that kind of varies from player to player. But it's always been when the guy who that they prep for all week isn't in there, is it almost good? That guy's not fucking in there. We don't care if the other guy back there gets the ball, because sometimes it I know Tony Pollard's a good player, but it almost seems like when it's Tony Pollard's backfield and solely his backfield, he's not nearly as good as when he's accompanied by somebody else. And he's kind of not necessarily getting all focus on him throughout the week.
Well, yeah, but there's been plenty of other running backs. Is it the fact that he's in the game, or is it the fact that he's fresher?
I don't know. I would say I don't know. That's a good,
because he's been fresh when Zeke was out.
I think it's
that was kind of
I think it's a pretty hard
beginning of the argument there.
A pretty hard position to. I don't think freshness in a lot of cases matters. Running back's a rhythm position to me.
I understand that. I understand that.
So, I don't know. That was always something that's always floated around in my mind. All right, what do we got next? What?
Before we
just fell over twice. He's gotten 2 catches and fell over twice so far.
Again, they're talking about the Monday Night Football game for those of you who are watching this later in the week and don't know what the fuck they're talking about.
Talk about Allen Robinson.
Let's hit a couple questions here before we transition to another team. Start them up. We got Go Pack Go. Hit us up. Said thoughts on Javonte. It sucks he went down. Not competing this year anyway, so at least it's happened now. I don't know. Are you trying to trade for Javonte right now?
No, I don't.
You got to give the guy a little bit of time to mourn and then go get him, right? You can't just go plucking in a fucking dead carcass.
In Dynasty, this is a move that I talk about. We've done a lot of on a contending team that has Javonte, that has him riding your IR spot. This is when you, in a couple of weeks, you go buy him from his IR spot because he's contending and not getting anything, and you sell him if you got an older run. As you go sell him Dalvin Cook and something else and try to peel Javonte from him because he's not getting anything from Javonte right now, and he's maybe in a win now window. It doesn't work. It depends on how the team's built, and I've done it a bunch. I do that move all the time because you get down that stretch and those guys are trying to fucking win, and they'll buy the older running back by selling you the younger guy who's on IR who they're not getting anything from. Now, does it work with Saquon Barkley? No, it probably doesn't work with Saquon Barkley. But it's how I got JK Dobbins on some teams.
Cam Akers, ET. So Javonte goes right in there. I think
now's not the time to buy him. I think you got, like you said, I'm not going to.
Yeah, I wouldn't go right in. I wouldn't swoop in right this minute. I would wait until hopefully he's on a contending team a little later.
You got to let him mourn a little bit. All right. So one more question. Ravi hits us up. Should he trade?
Ravi Verma?
Varma.
I know a Ravi Varma.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. We used to work at Charleston Place together.
Huh. Well,
the big ragu.
He said, should he trade Keenan for Cooks and J-Rob? This is redraft. So he hasn't been getting Keenan. I assume that's Brandon Cooks and J-Rob. Good week to buy J-Rob. Bad game.
It's hard to say without the rest of that roster. But
you got to drop somebody too to take two players on.
I think I'm just gonna hang on to Keenan there.
I agree. I think I got to ride that out.
Yeah, because he'd be pretty fucking great with Keenan. Plus, you get an extra roster spot with that, which is really valuable in redraft. Out, it's too many players.
It's not a bad. I think you could flip. That's kind of a coin flip, but
Cooks hasn't been doing enough. Like Cooks has just been meh.
Finally had an okay game, but
that's fair. And when Keenan was peppered, and when he's out there, I mean, he could definitely put up both of those guys together.
Keenan's gonna be solidly. I mean, he's got like a 12-point floor every week in PPR.
Yeah, J-Rod's been pretty solid though.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're going to transition to the Denver Broncos and Raiders game. We just talked about the Javonte injury a little bit. Mike Boone, decent pickup, probably available in a fair amount of dynasty leagues, although they did just sign Latavius Murray, apparently from the Saints practice squad, who I guess they demoted after the game and actually looked okay. But I guess that's good news for
I don't
tomorrow.
think he was ever on there. He wasn't because they had that.
You have to activate.
No,
him
you
for
don't.
game
Not
day,
anymore.
Right?
You can play on the. You can be activated to the game day roster like 2 times before being signed to the 55-man roster. There's some weird practice squad rules now.
COVID
holdover that they've just kept in place.
Yeah. Okay. So I think that pretty much covers this for the Broncos side of things. Right? I don't really want to.
Yeah, no, I mean, I did, I thought the passing game.
Russ finally looked like a good week to buy Russ last week.
Looked a little better.
Yeah,
definitely made some better throws. Got you some fantasy points
looked
finally.
A little better. But the Raiders also looked a whole lot better, and it's amazing what happens when you go in there and you lean on. They got their center back, who they were missing, and a lot of people on the broadcast were saying how much that meant to this team. But just coming out and riding Josh Jacobs through this game and letting him get better and better, and maybe recognizing that, hey, the committee approach isn't the best approach when the best player is clearly the one guy. And he can do everything that the other guy can do in the passing game plus more. And, if Josh Jacobs is going to get the passing game work, he was already leading the backfield in touches.
He's not getting a ton of the passing work.
Every go. This game he did. And it wasn't the worst. He's 12th in targets, and that's with a filter of, let's see, what's the filter? 50% of 84 attempts, which is basically all the guys who actually touched the ball, not factoring in the guys who were just, kind of flying around there. But Josh Jacobs had a career high in snap percentage here, RB7 on the year. Pass game work saw a nice uptick the last 2 weeks, saw 5 targets and 6 targets. So if that's what we're seeing every week, that's
money in the bank.
That's fucking money in the bank.
That's a surefire RB1.
7th in attempts with 70. 5th in yards, 335, 11th in yards per attempt. That's again in that number with the 50% filter on 84 attempts, basically just filtering out all the guys who don't touch. These are all the workhorse guys. 3rd in yards after contact with that filter, 6th in yards after contact per attempt with 3.94, and 2nd in missed tackles forced with 22.
Wow, Josh Jacobs, good player. What a surprise.
Yeah.
He looked fucking awesome. Like he was seeing and hitting holes that you wouldn't find even if you did pause it right there and be like, see, I missed this hole. Like there was no hole. And he just has that. He plants that foot in the ground and gets upfield. Every week he's got his jersey torn because that's all them boys could get a hold of.
Right.
And like he turns what would be, because he's always falling forward and battling for extra yards. So you think, oh, this is going to be a good 3, 4, 5 yard run. All of a sudden he pops it for like 10 or 11. Like and then he got loose a couple times. Like he looked fucking awesome. And they're finally going to give him the ball. Like I'm sure you already said it, career high in snaps this week. Like only once I think I read that he'd ever had more than 80% of the snaps in his career. So like, it's just like, oh, and guess fucking what? You fucking won, Raiders. You gave one of your best players the fucking ball. You fucking fed this workhorse, and you threw it to him, and you fucking won. Wow. Amazing. Like, how fucking hard is that? Give this man the goddamn ball.
Apparently pretty hard.
He's been RB8 and RB13, and right now he's RB7. And one of those years he was, I think, RB20-ish or 18-ish. Not super high, but I think he missed a decent chunk of games. It feels so good when he jokes around.
Just came watching this almost pick on the Monday Night Football game. That's what we're talking about.
It's just another guy who perennially got disrespected, and when Zamir White came out and got the fucking touches in the preseason,
no, it wasn't even that. It wasn't even
Hall
that.
of Fame
It was
game.
Jacobs playing. It was
in the
Jacobs
Hall of
playing in the
Fame
Hall of
game.
Fame game.
Oh,
But he
okay.
was playing like into the second quarter of the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, then he
game.
didn't play for a while after that.
Yeah. Then he rested
then
with the
some-
rest of the
some of the
starters after that.
Great fantasy pundit said, "I'm moving him way down my board. I'm not touching Josh Jacobs." Cool, bro. Good shit. Good thing you're on Fantasy Pros and telling people what to do. Because that's awesome. That's good. That's good. Good shit there.
Probably won't see him bragging about that on the
No.
Twitters.
Look, everybody gets it wrong, but that's just a dumb fucking reason to like. You already just hated
Preseason
Josh,
usage,
right?
yeah.
You already hated Josh Jacobs, and you just
Right.
found another reason to drop him even lower. That's bullshit. That's rookie shit right there. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Kind of like going out on a limb to say that Josh Reynolds sucks. You know, why would you put yourself out there?
It was Josh Reynolds season this week, though.
Yeah.
Oh, I start.
Also, get rid of
I got
the
a-
season.
I got a text from Riley yesterday, and it said, "Your Jared Goff, Josh Reynolds stack really killed me this week." Things we thought we'd
Jared
never hear.
Goff fucking murdered it with nobody good in his lineup. Like,
When can we say I was right?
You can say it.
been
right
saying
now.
that you
Yeah.
were right.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
mean, I don't necessarily know what about, but Jared Goff fuck around, get 15. We were
top
top
15
15.
Josh
yeah.
Reynolds had a nice stretch at the end of last year when they were down a bunch of
What?
receivers.
Yeah, it
Like,
also helps when there's no one else with the damn ball
but
to.
he was fucking good, man.
Yeah.
He was good in this game. I think he's a decent receiver. Be a nice 3 somewhere on a team. Like, that's great insurance for them. I
Yeah.
think he signed a 1-year deal with them, maybe, or was just kind of lingering around on the roster.
Not sure what happened with
Um,
him in Tennessee because he would be crushing
Right.
there right now.
I love Josh Reynolds. I was a huge Josh Reynolds fan, but he played pretty well yesterday. And again,
almost had a second touchdown too. Got tackled at the 1.
yeah.
Trenton D, what up, man? Bateman or Josh Jacobs?
What are we, I'm assuming it's redraft.
Nah,
I'm assuming it's Dynasty.
Trenton's playing Dynasty here.
Fuck it, give me Jacobs.
Yeah, I mean, he's a running back, fucking balling out. You're about to win with him. You're not like Bateman's looked good on the few catches that he's had, you know, but
the volume's just not there.
the production, yeah. But with Jacobs, this is a bad week to ask me that.
Yeah.
I mean, the recency bias on Jacobs
Yeah,
through the
that's
fucking roof.
certainly. And
And
I think I'd lean Bateman there, but you know,
You're leaning Bateman, really? Really?
hey, look, Josh Jacobs played well into the first quarter of a preseason Hall of Fame game, so I mean, Bateman.
Get him off my board.
Yeah. Yeah. But no, I like what we're seeing from Josh Jacobs right now. It seems like last year they kind of settled in on Josh Jacobs and he just kept crushing. This year, hopefully we're going to see the same thing. This staff settles in on Josh Jacobs, and because of what he just did, we'll see that week in, week out. And I'm sure there'll be some frustrating usage, just like there is with almost any other running back in the league.
That's
So you're gonna
not
have to take
named like Saquon Barkley.
But if you can just get a couple of pass catches and stay in the 10-point floors,
Yeah.
and then have the 20-point ceilings, now we're cooking with something, and I think that's where Josh Jacobs should be. I think, I'm interested to see what happens next week after they just got their first win whilst riding him. I don't think you're going to see quite this usage again as far as the amount of use he got here. But I think
buy,
it's
sell, hold. What are we doing?
I mean, this is you can't buy after this week, just like you can't buy Miles Sanders after this week.
yeah.
But it'd be a buy. Been a buy for me.
Yeah.
And if I have him, it's a hold. Not selling.
I'm not
I'm gonna
selling
hang on to
either.
my running back
Because this is what you thought he could do if you like Josh Jacobs.
and he's on a year. He's again with the Miles Sanders
unrestricted free agent
unrestricted
next year.
free agent,
Only
trying
24
to
this
get some
season.
money. If somebody picks him up, you would think and pay him. You would think they're going to use him. If you're going to pay him $10+ million a year.
Yeah.
Shit, that 5th-year option looking kind of cheap right now.
Mm-hmm. Well, they didn't pick up his 5th-year option, and that should tell you everything you need to know about him. More fucking crack shot analysis over there.
They just gave him the highest usage he's ever seen in his career.
You might as well if you're not going to re-sign him. Just
That's what
Right.
I.
Why
That's
the
what
hell
I-
out
that's
of
the
it?
Why is this a
Point.
negative? Like, let's
Right.
just ride him into the fucking ground and see you later.
Right.
Thanks for fucking nothing or everything. So yeah, Josh Jacobs, baby, let's go.
Let's
I
ride.
was gonna say it, but
You guys got anything? Anybody else you want to put up against Josh Jacobs?
I think I'm prepared.
Josh Jacobs.
You said this was the easy part. Why don't you put
Josh
some guys up
Jacobs
against?
or Miles Sanders? I think we did this already, but
Oh, we did. Jacobs.
yeah, we did. Yeah,
Jacobs. You getting a year
Jacob
earlier?
Johnson.
Jacobs or ETN?
I think right now you have to say Jacobs.
Yeah, you have to say Jacobs, but I feel like my head's telling me to take ETN.
You
But
can probably get a little bit something extra.
yeah,
I would say Dameon Pierce, but that's a no-brainer. I mean, what are we gonna do?
What, Dameon Pierce?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
You would trade a 23 unheralded, precious firstborn child, 23 first for Dameon Pierce. So.
Kareem Hunt or Josh Jacobs?
Jacobs.
Hunt's also a free agent.
Yeah, but he's like 27. You getting 3 years younger? Like, give me fucking Jacobs all day. That's
Khalil
too
Herbert
easy.
earned a 2 for Josh Jacobs.
Kill Herbert and a 2 or Jacobs?
Yeah.
Jacobs. Jacobs. It's pretty easy.
Jacobs.
Fuck it. Give me Herbert in the second.
All right. I like it. You know, kind of not all that different. Montgomery in a contract year. Herbert maybe taking over this offense. So I don't necessarily
can't wait to
disagree.
Get some Bears in my life.
J-Rob, Josh Jacobs.
Easy.
Easy.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like ET too much. Plus, did you know he had an Achilles injury?
Who? J-Rob?
Jacobs and a first for hurt Javonte Williams.
I think I'll
Probably
take.
a little bit of an overpay at this point. But
Yeah. I think it is probably an
Which on
overpay.
which side?
The Jacobs in a
Jacobs
first.
in the first side.
Wow, really?
I mean, we were having a discussion about a first for Javonte the other day, I think, and I was like, "That's like I definitely would do that because that's a deal compared to where you got him." And
AJ
like,
Dillon or Jacobs?
I mean, we had this discussion.
We did have this discussion. We took Jacobs over Dillon.
Over Dillon in our startup this year. Me and Matt.
Does it
sharing
still
a team.
hold?
I mean, I
Sure.
think so.
All right.
They're like the same age, so
Would you swap Dalvin Cook for if you have Dalvin? Would you
downgrade
Would
to
you downgrade to Jacobs for the youth?
I would
plus something?
Yeah,
I need
like,
a little bit.
I'm gonna get a
more.
little bit of a sweetener on
Can I
there.
get a little sprinkle of something?
A second?
Oh, sure.
Oh, absolutely. Actually, I have a team where I have Cook and Jacobs.
So Jacobs in a second?
For Cook, trade
I'm
away
taking
Cook.
Jacobs in a second.
I don't know if it's that easy, but
I don't
if
think
you're
so.
trying to move off of Cook, I mean, if you're moving off Cook, it's because you don't want to win, so you don't want to take Jacobs. You know, Jacobs is going to help you win right now. So
Tight
it's
end
kind of a
premium,
wash.
Josh Jacobs or TJ Hawkinson?
Good week to try and sell Hawk if you've been
Yeah.
frustrated with that motherfucker. That's a tough one. That's a tough one because Hawkinson's definitely going ahead of him in startups.
Yeah.
Because you need a tight end, and in startup, the tight end's even more elevated.
Yeah. And Hawk just balled out this week, but also top 3 receivers weren't playing. Top 2 receivers weren't playing, I should say. Top 2 in Chark.
Trenton Deke. So I think I would. I think that's a coin flip. Hawkinson's probably a little bit. I don't know. What are you doing?
Yeah. On which one?
Hawkinson and Jacobs.
I think the value's in Hawkinson, so I'm going to try and take Hawkinson and flip him.
Yeah, I'd probably take Hawk.
What about Kenneth Walker and Josh Jacobs?
I'll take Walker.
Let me get something extra. Let me get.
Well,
Walker
I'd
plus.
probably be trying to finagle a little extra with what
I think
Jacobs is
would
doing
rather
right
have
now.
Walker there too.
Curtis Sammy or Jacobs?
Jacobs, stop.
Easy, right?
Stop.
Easy.
Stop.
Christian Kirk or Jacobs?
Jacobs.
I think that's Kirk for me.
This is a good week to make that trade because you can definitely go get Kirk with Josh Jacobs right now. I think I want the running back.
Okay.
I know I went the running back.
Yeah.
I know. It was me. St. Brown, who's clearly terrible and not going to be able to live up to the hype, or
St. Brown.
Yeah.
Of course. It's not even a question. I was just
God.
I haven't got to throw in a St. Brown jab.
Unless you're talking about Equanimous, then I'm taking whoever the other player is.
There's only one St. Brown. You address
like 5
you
of them.
address the other St. Brown by Equanimous.
Yeah.
All right. You ready to get out of here?
Watch the last 53 seconds of this bullshit.
What else you got?
Are we calling it?
I'm ready to call it. Yeah.
All right.
The fans want to chime in on anything?
Well, the next.
What do you got?
Damon DeBeast had a question that leads right into
All
the
right.
next topic.
I got time.
I've got time.
Let's do 5 minutes on this next topic.
Okay.
5 good minutes. What is this, PTI?
Now, they do like a minute.
No, it's 5 good minutes.
good
It's one of the
minutes.
segments. It's called 5 good
Is
minutes.
that show still on? I'm just kidding.
I don't know, actually. I don't
I'm
have the
sure it
name.
crushes. Yeah, they've been probably like the longest running. Shit.
Wilbin?
Them boys do crush.
Tony Kornheiser.
All right, let's let this question in the chat lead us into this next topic.
Looks like San Fran's going to get another one against LA.
Damon says, should I trade T. Higgins and Hollywood for Jamar Chase?
T. Higgins and Hollywood for Jamar Chase.
My core is A.J. Brown, Waddle, Godwin, so Hollywood would just be riding the bench for the season. Now, the next topic on our list is Jamar Chase versus T. Higgins. I don't know if you have the tweet readily
sure I can
available.
find it, but we
You
can
always
talk into it.
screenshot it. You know,
Here's a tweet from Nate Liss on September 30th. In the regular season, Jamar Chase has just one back-to-back top 20 or better week in his career.
Interesting.
Just to spice up that question a little bit, you know.
That wasn't even the tweet I was wanting to see.
I know, but it was in, you know, in regards to.
So we were
that
going to have the
question.
debate whether you would rather have Jamar Chase or T. Higgins, because Casey sent me that after the Thursday night game, and I was like, ha. And I was like, well, you know, I mean, if you want to think about it in terms of like, oh, and then you sent me a tweet where it was like how Higgins basically scored more points than Jamar Chase, and had better finishes and all this.
All right, so
more yards.
From what I understand, this Jacob Gibbs fella from CBS has been a big T over Jamar after looking into this tweet and this fella some more, because I don't know who this is, but he's got a lot of followers, and I think he's on CBS. But now make that 591 professional football routes run simultaneously for T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. The results: targets 136 Higgins, 116 Chase. Catches 92 Higgins, 71 for Chase. Yards 1378 for Higgins, 1215 for Chase. PPR points 277.8 for Higgins, 243.1 for Chase. So Higgins pretty much dominating.
That settles it, right?
Cherry pick stats to prove the point, but
I don't know that he was really making a point. It was just
he's
kind of
making
putting.
he's making a point.
Yeah.
So he's been a big proponent of T probably needing to be higher, and maybe, you know, the play for the two, potentially, you know.
I mean, he's definitely the cheaper of the two.
I don't.
And that's the thing, right? You get him a round or two later in a startup.
Maybe even 3. I mean,
I don't think it's an indictment of
Jamar Chase
necessarily, because everybody's, you know, probably doubling him, and Higgins and Boyd are getting the easier matchup and the easier run in most situations, I would assume. I don't have the data to back that up. I probably could figure it out with all the PFF and coverage stuff. But, you know, T has looked really good. T was the cheaper option. T is absolutely the guy that I would be buying in Dynasty and startups this season, because it was really hard to get Chase. I'm not the biggest Chase guy. I think he's pretty good. So this probably isn't the best question for me. I think he's slightly overrated, but still really good.
overrated overall wide receiver too.
Yeah, I don't like
or
it. I
one.
don't love him. Definitely not one for me.
I think I have Jefferson.
It was
now
always
over
2
Chase.
for me, and then it was almost like it was who else could you put there, because of the age gap between the guys who are proven to be good year in, year out and not. And it was basically like, well, Waddle and CD hasn't really necessarily proved it. And well, here we are with
AJ Brown.
Here we are, and AJ Brown was a little banged up. So it's like, you know, AJ Brown, it's like, and then still it's like, you probably almost still need to lean Chase, but Waddle's making a case right now. And AJ Brown's certainly making a case right now. and CD without Dak has been making a case. So
is there a QB controversy in Dallas?
No.
Okay.
So I don't know really what I wanted to necessarily bring up there besides that's an interesting way to put that, of basically saying that, there's a lot of things favoring the T. Higgins side of things. Now, whether that's because there's so much respect being put on Chase's name or not, I would assume that's the thing. It's easier targets going over here to T. Higgins, which is what he should be doing. And Chase should be finding a way to get open in some of those games. He's had, hasn't had any great games this season necessarily.
Chase had a pretty good one.
Yeah.
Chase, and he had a good week one.
Week one, yeah. But Higgins has been pretty good if he hasn't been hurt. And then Wood usually pretty decent if one of them is hurt. So I don't necessarily know what the point is there. But just wanted to kind of bring that up. Is T. Higgins the better player than Jamar Chase? No, probably not. But
T. Higgins is a really strong all-around player.
Is T. Higgins the better value and maybe the better fantasy asset? I wouldn't say asset, but maybe asset to your team, like as far as points in the lineup, maybe. It certainly seems like it could be, at least that you could at least debate that part of it.
Yeah.
The better long-term dynasty asset as far as value holding is certainly Chase.
Yeah. I think Chase has the higher ceiling as well, too.
Yeah, Chase has more juice. He has... But he's not as fast, and Chase is like more thick. So you got this big, fast fucking guy. But Chase can do everything T can do,
I don't know.
But T's fucking phenomenal all around player, and he contorts his body and he levitates into
He's
the
much
air.
Bigger than Chase.
And the yak is fucking awesome, and he's getting one-on-one coverage over there. And all Joe Burrow has to do is toss it up to him.
And I don't know how much 100 or straight facts the coverage thing is, but that's what
looked like it on Thursday.
What my assessment of this would be, and what a lot of teams are doing. So what was the question that guy was asking?
Would you trade T. Higgins and Hollywood for Jamar Chase?
Again, that seems like, yes, that's the better asset overall. So usually that's the decider in a trade for me. You're going to get Nuke coming back, but Hollywood right now, a little bit of a slow start, but the target volume is great, and the target volume for T. Higgins is great. And it's like, I don't think Chase's points are coming anywhere near to outscoring those two combined.
No, probably not when Nuke comes back.
It seems like, but if Chase was scoring anywhere from 12 to 20 points every week, you wouldn't be able to get him for those two guys probably. Right now, there's just a little bit of lull and maybe some panic in some Chase owners. So it might not be the worst opportunity to try to get Chase, but I think, which side is he on? He's on the Higgins and Hollywood side.
I guess that's who he has. He's trying to get Chase.
I'd probably hold if my team was competing with those two guys, and because I'm depending on how big my lineup is, if it's start 3 wide receivers and extra flexes or whatever, I'd probably hold with those two guys. But if you're a middling team and you want to just try to go get the best asset in the deal, I'd be fine with making a move to try to take those guys and parlay up to get Chase. Because at the end of the day, like if Big Co was here, he'd be telling you probably to parlay those guys up and go get Chase, because that's the classic of what Big Co wants to do at the end of the day is take two smaller assets.
Take 2 dimes and go get a quarter.
Right. And that's basically what he's going to be trying to do constantly. Or buy the undervalued Hollywood Brown if he's undervalued to get the volume where he can get it. So that's kind of my take on that. You guys want to wrap this up? What do you got? Any more thoughts?
Toasted.
Yeah, I mean,
spit that fire, son.
I think that Higgins is underrated, and I wouldn't say that Chase is overrated, but I would say that we haven't really seen him. I mean, we saw it last year. Obviously, we saw him but like we said, I mean, there's a lot of ups and a lot of mess.
Yeah.
Like if we were like with Jefferson, you're seeing it consistently, him putting up.
Now, he did have a 2 or 3 game stretch there where
okay, fine. You guys see Cooper Kupp, and he's putting out consistently getting.
Jefferson got back on track.
Yes, for sure. But yeah, I mean,
10-point weeks happen to everyone. That's your
except
floor.
Cooper Kupp.
It's just that Jamar Chase is so young and tied to Joe Burrow, and them boys are boys.
Them boys are boys.
Like,
We them boys.
and everyone loves Chase, so you can always get a ton of fucking shit for Chase if you really want to.
Yeah.
I think I will go Chase.
Like I said, that's probably the better move asset-wise long-term for your team. But if it's a deeper squad, I might stick with those two guys who are just scoring me gobs of points every week. So the smart money is probably Chase, but the maybe winning money this year might be T. Higgins and Hollywood.
The shark money, or the sharp money.
Yeah. I don't think you're losing keeping those two guys long term. They're going to be good players.
Yeah.
So it's not like but like you said, I think the smart asset move is Chase, and maybe making more money this year is, if your team's good, is Higgins, Hollywood. So,
all right, one last question, and I'm done.
Woo! What you got,
last
homie?
question. If you had to pick, who would you trade, Swift or JT? And should I trade Drake London? I'm 0-4, 12-man league, PPR. Got Stafford, JT, Swift, Pittman, London, Keenan, Kittle, Khalil, Herbert. I'm not trading Drake London.
No.
And I mean, I don't know. Like, I'm not trading Swift or JT. I don't think, especially if you're losing, and like those are good players for next year. I'm like waiting for Keenan to have a good game, and then I'm shipping him out.
Yeah, I mean, you start by maybe selling Keenan, Kittle, Michael Thomas after they have good games, and try to build around the rest of that core. I mean, if you really, really wanted to, set this thing up in a big, big rebuild way, you could try to move a JT or Swift. But the thing with moving one of those guys is look, me and Big Co have some FFPC teams that we've had for a while. We've cashed on them here and there, and we're ready to rebuild, and we got JT on a lot of them. And I'm fine. I'm fine with moving JT to reset that thing in a good way quickly. But the luxury with Swift and JT is that you don't need to be in a rush to do anything with them, because even if you have to go into next season with them, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, they're a building block piece.
Right. They're building blocks piece that you can keep, or if you really just want to make a Godfather move and just switch things up because your team, you have a dynasty team for a while, it can get stale, and you just feel like, hey, maybe I do need to shake this fucking thing up. I keep just being right outside the playoffs or getting unlucky in the playoffs. And how long is this run going to go for? I got some older guys on my team. Let's maybe use the JT who's 4 years into his career and reset this whole thing. But you don't need to rush those pieces. The other couple of pieces on those trades, you wait till Michael Thomas comes back, having some good games. You get what you can get. Maybe if you want to move Keenan because he's going to come back and just soak up volume, and somebody who's winning is going to want him. But you got to hold. You don't want to sell Drake London right now. You probably don't want to sell Pittman right now. I'd be fine with moving Kittle once he was coming back and having some big games if you really wanted to, just because of he's frustrating to own when he's in and healthy. He's awesome, but it's just been a lot of hit or miss throughout your lineup.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Well, I think that'll wrap it, right?
We did it.
We did it.
Did it. Appreciate y'all for joining us. If you've made it this far, if you're watching right now, definitely hit me with a subscription, a like, comment on the thing below. I'm done in this chat. I've chatted out. But appreciate everybody that joined us in the chat. Got a question in. Hope I answered everybody's question. If not, come over, check out the Discord over at the FF Dynasty, patreon.com/FF Dynasty. $5 holla.
We're going to do some little more in-depth rookie talk on this next episode.
We're going to record Wednesday night, so that'll be dropping Thursday, Friday time frame. If you're listening on the podcast, send me a 5-star review. I'll enter you into a contest to win a free t-shirt.
Go Niners.
Send me a DM on Instagram, Twitter, whatever, FF Dynasty.
I will never let a football game ruin my goddamn day.
The ffdynasty@gmail.com. I don't know. The Clemson game can definitely ruin my day.
You just happen to be sitting next to me. I know you're a Rams fan.
Been on a good run, though. Go Tigers. Anyway, let's
Go Tigers.
Let's get the FF out of here.
We are.
Fox Sports.
I don't fucking say it back to people. I say it back to young kids and at the game. If you say it to me in the street, I'm just gonna look at you and go, don't fucking say it back.
That's some real northern aggression right there. Shout out to Charleston, South Carolina.
Jason roars back to people all the time.
I'll hit anyone with a Go Tigers. I see someone, and I always put the accent on it. Go Tigers.
Go Tigers.
So they feel at home.
You gotta say it like Hojo. Yeah, go Tigers.
Clemson.
Clemson. There's a P in there.
No,
You
there's
son
a
of a
Z
bitch.
in it. It's Clemson.
Clemson.
If you guys can go fuck off, I'm muting your mics right.
We are.
All right, appreciate y'all. Peace.